Hi, I'm Sandra Parker from Just a Tonic. 6 years ago, I was struggling with alcohol. I was a binge drinker. I tried willpower, all the usual stuff for decades. Once I discovered how to not want to drink and feel amazing, I decided to set up a company to share it with other people. I'm excited to share with you how I help my clients go from drinking daily, drinking for decades, binge drinking, or some combination, to enjoying their life more, fulfilling their potential, and never feeling deprived. Thanks.
How would you advise one of your clients to mitigate being in a situation where they're going to a social event and they feel like usually they would drink at that place, but they still want to go to said events? And how would they be able to be around certain environments while also expressing to their community that they don't want to drink anymore, or that they're on a journey of reducing their alcohol consumption?
It's a great question. So pretty much everyone I've worked with has had concerns about how they tell their work colleagues or their friends or their family that they are not drinking at a night out. And I don't think I've ever come across anyone that's not had some concern, whether it's like family members or work colleagues or a conference or whatever it is. So I tell people that, honestly, like when we feel good ourselves about not drinking, that's about 80% of the challenge, right? And then the other 20% is about how we plan social events and how we manage other people's expectations and how we explain it to them. And let me give you a couple of examples. So things not to do is judge anyone else drinking, right? So when people are worried about someone else's reaction, the reason why a lot of people would be upset if they heard one of their friends weren't drinking is because they think, one, their friend's not going to be any fun, and two, their friend is going to judge them, right? So if you show up to your friend, let's say you're out for dinner or you're going for a drink or whatever, if you show up and you're still the same person, you're still fun and you're not judging their drinking, that's going to make them feel better. So make sure people know that you're not going to be smug about it, you're not going to comment on their drinking, and you're actually going to enjoy yourself. So when I tried to go out during dry January, I know that I was miserable company, like I felt miserable, right? And people can pick up on that. So if you tackle the root cause, you get to a point where you enjoy an event more. That's really important. Second, I would say is make the reason why you're not drinking quite vague. You don't need to tell people all the gory details about all the things that went wrong in your life because of alcohol. And you probably shouldn't for most people, but if you were to say something like, you know what, it was really messing up my sleep, right? People get that, right? Because most people have had that experience. Or you might say, I found I was putting on weight, or I'm on a bit of a health kick. Then that's the sort of thing that seems quite plausible. And it's not going to sound odd. It's not going to have most people questioning it. If you do get somebody that comes back and says, well, hang on, exactly how much were you drinking? Again, I would just keep it quite vague, and I would say it wasn't so much how much I was drinking, it was more that it started to affect me more. For most people, that will be enough, right? Another thing that can be really helpful is having an alcohol-free drink. If you're tackling the root cause, then you can get to the point where you actually enjoy the alcohol-free drink more than the alcoholic version, because you get to still enjoy that camaraderie, you still feel that you're part of the group, but you don't have any of the ill effects afterwards, and you're not having a big light shining on you saying, hey, look at me, I'm having an orange juice, I'm not allowed to drink. So there's lots of things you can do, but like one thing I would always recommend is telling people in advance. What you don't want to happen is to turn up at an event and somebody hands you an alcoholic drink, because that makes it quite difficult. So as long as you tell people in advance and you put a bit of time preparing, it will get easier and people will get to accept that. It's usually much more of a big deal for us than for the person that we're telling.
You touched on this idea, or this perception, that going out and drinking, and not drinking rather, would be seen as not being fun. Why do you think that perception exists, and how do you advise for people who are struggling with that alcohol consumption to tackle that perception?
So the belief that you're not going to have fun is I think that's a massive amount of marketing and conditioning that we've had throughout our life, right? I've got someone that works with me, Siobhan, and she's got a fabulous expression which is play the tape forwards, right? Because when we think about having a drink, if it's a woman, you might think about sitting having a cocktail, maybe, or a man, maybe it's sitting having a beer with your friends or having a glass of wine. You always think about the initial drink, right? You never think about the third drink or the fourth drink or the next morning. So I think recognizing that it's short-term pleasure and it comes at a price. So if you think about, say, your weekends, right, you could start off with the belief that you need alcohol to enjoy your weekend. But if your weekend consists of you going out on a Friday night, having a bit of a laugh for the first hour or two, then some sort of blurriness, bits that you can't remember, and feeling awful on the Saturday, you couldn't honestly say alcohol made your weekend fun. So there is a bit of work to be done to actually really look at the full picture. And I think also to challenge yourself and say, right, what can I do for fun if I'm not drinking, right? And some things that you can do is you can drive somewhere for a start. You can have a bit more freedom and flexibility. You get to enjoy your Saturday and Sunday morning. You get to do things that might take a bit of an effort, because when we're drinking, our lives become a bit smaller. Anything that feels like an effort, we feel like we can't be bothered. So, going to the cinema, going to the theatre, going £10 bowling, going out to visit someone, all of those things feel like a bit of a hassle, a bit of a pain. So we just have to remind ourselves that it might take a little bit of work in the beginning to start thinking about the things that we enjoy, but you can actually enjoy more of your time and you can enjoy more of your weekends, and you can actually remember it as well. So there's a little bit of work to be done, but I haven't worked with anyone that said I'm enjoying my life less. People say I'm surprised at how much more time I've got. I'm surprised at how much more I'm enjoying myself.